Alright, so if you're watching this video and you want to know how to customize the hammer, or the pot, or Diogenes, or any of those, including the background, and you're wondering how I do it all without having the mod pack, then you've come to the right place. You're the target audience. I've got a fresh installation of Getting Over It, with which I'll be demonstrating how you can do that. So, to get started with installation, you're going to need this one crucial dependency, known as BepInEx. You can come over here to this GitHub link. What BepInEx is a plugin loader, which allows you to develop libraries independently of the game's DLLs, otherwise known as assembly-C#, and you can load them as mods, which is great, because it means you can use other DLLs, like the level loader, with it. So you can download the x64 version, because Getting Over It in 1.6 is a 64-bit app, and you can paste this into your Getting Over It directory. Now we're going to launch Getting Over It, and pay attention to the BepInEx folder. There's two folders we need to pay attention to here, which are really all you need: config and plugins, which have generated because the game's loaded. Now you'll notice nothing has changed yet because BepInEx is inherently just the plugin loader, so it doesn't actually modify the game. Now, to continue, if you want the fully featured in-game experience, the next thing you want to download is GOIModdingEssentials. You can come over to releases, just like you do with any GitHub link. Go download the 1.6 version, save it, go to your downloads, open it up, copy the APIs in the mod menu.dll, and go into your plugins folder in BepInEx that just generated in the previous game launch and paste it in. However, this mod has a dependency known as ConfigurationManager, which can be found on the home screen of this GitHub. And you can just download the latest release and open it up. Copy it. Again, paste it into plugins. Plugins is what you will come to know as the mods folder. Now you can launch the game and pay attention to the main quirk of the mod menu as of right now, which is that the mod button on the title screen when you first launch the game always displays as quit. However, it launches the mod settings, so its purpose is still correct. And there's a mods button here, but just whenever you start a game and go back to the title screen, it'll go to mods. It's a weird bug that I have no idea how to fix, but hopefully I'll figure something out soon. Now onto the great part, the mods, which I will link in the description, because if I didn't, that would be a bit of a pathetic idiot moment for me to do, especially when I have a tutorial to be made. Now, the background mod, save as, again, plugins, as usual. This is the process that you want to be familiarized with. Now you'll see this mods folder has been generated, which we'll come into in a second. We will launch our game. As you can see, nothing's changed yet, but if you go into mods, we've got our player customizer and our background configured. Looking at player customizer first, we have our three categories. This just changes whether all the textures are enabled. These are the materials of all the player components, and here's the paths of the images. So, here in this mods folder, we have our player customizer folder, which is where it will look for all the images by default. So say you want to change the DO image, you can go to wherever you have that. In my case, I'll just go to my backups folder. And you can head into mods and paste the do.png in there. Now you can enable the Diogenes texture, and as you can see, it is here. You can also change the material to matte or to metallic. These are likely the only options I'll have. And the behavior of these are a little different for all the player components. For Diogenes and the pot, it functions mostly the same, but for the handle and the tip, it's sort of not really working. And this is an engine mechanic that I can't really change and don't know how to fix, so if you're disappointed, then that's not my problem. Now, say you want to load an image from another path, which you can do because I have those configurable. If we take my pod PNG, I can shift and right click and copy his path. But copying his path has quotation marks around it, so you can delete those in any place. And then recopy it and find the thing. Select everything with a bit of leeway, that's why I'm dragging my cursor out here, and then paste it in. Load the pod texture, and it's loaded. Now again, you can see this is the regular pod material with all its imperfections and bumps. You can change it to matte to have it be a little more smooth and a little brighter, and the texture is a little more visible. Or you can change it to metallic, which will still display the texture, but it won't be quite as good. It mostly works for solid colors. Now, for background configurator, you have to accept this user agreement before you can do anything. And to change anything, you have your contrast, exposure, your fog color, saturation, sky color for the bottom, the middle, and the top. So the bottom would be here, middle, here, top. That's how gradient works. And you have your sun color, which will affect the lighting of the foreground. And it's all in standard RGBA. You don't need to worry about the A. Alpha is just for transparency, but it doesn't really do anything because it's a game window. So now, let's say I want to make the bottom cyan, I want to make this pink, and I want to make this yellow. And say I want to make the sun just green. I can come up here and apply settings, and that will load the settings without you having to reset the game. Which is great in the case that you're up at the top of the mountain and you have a setting that you want to change, but you don't want to have to climb all the way back up. No matter how fast you are, that's still time spent where you could better spend it configuring your background. Now, you can also have all of this in a preset which you can load. And I'll show you how to do that now. So you just quit the game because you need to reload the game for it to work. Come to wherever you get your config. Let's say your friend sent it to you. In my case, I'll just be getting it from my backup directory. It will be named goi.plugins.backgroundmod.cfg, and you can come over to your directory in the BepInEx/config, paste it in, and replace it. Now when you launch Getting Over It, you'll see that when the game is launched, it will load the preset that I had. And there it is. And as you can see, it loaded all of this stuff into the configuration manager. And that's a simple way of sharing settings. And now you have your background loaded. So that's all you need. It's pretty simple. Happy configuring.